welcome to another episode of Try Bonsai. It's your boy, Bana, and my friends, unfortunately, I am still experiencing an issue with the microphone, so I kind of recording with an open air, so I may not speak as much. Anyways, moving on swiftly, this is the project for today. This is a West Indian cherry, and before you start to ask questions, let me explain. Have you ever had, my friends, a piece of material that it wasn't really bothering you all that much, you ain't taking it on, so you just experiment with it and whatever happened. This was one of them. I had this West Indian cherry, one of three. I gave one away. The first one, I've never shown it. I'll show all of that in a separate video. And this one, I chose to use wire just as an experiment, just to see. And every single time I wired it and the wire set, I took it off and I just kept on wiring with no sense of direction, no rationale, no nothing at all. And what this small tree has done is surprise the heck out of me, because it, granted, the wiring is probably not the conventional type of wiring that persons who use wire would do. However, it has survived and it continued to thrive and do well. So what we're going to do today, we're going to take it out of this that it is in, because it was planted originally in a very small pot. This was grown from a seedling and it was planted in this very small pot, and eventually I just, by chance, as I said, I wasn't doing anything with any kind of purpose. I just dropped the little pot into the bigger pot for space or whatever it is, and the root took off to the point where it's starting to come out underneath the bigger pot. So what I'm going to do today is to put this into a training bonsai pot and attempt another thing with it. I'm going to put it over a piece of rock, So now that I put in some intention to it, I'm going to keep this small. This will not be a humongous tree. I'm going to keep this relatively small and pay a little more attention to the direction of the branches and whatnot. But for today, we're going to do a little repotting and put this over a rock. So let me just go. So my friends, first things first, I'm going to get it out of this much larger pot to see what is happening. And when I get it out of the pot, I'm going to get it out of the smaller pot, trying to salvage the roots as much as possible and begin doing the work. What may happen, I may have to do some leaf reduction and some branch reduction, and just to safeguard the tree, to remove some of the stress from it and see what happens. So work time, let's talk. So in as much as I would have loved to have maintained some of these roots, it has gone through the drainage stream and matted to the bottom. So I'm going to have to cut these away to see what can be done. So we're going to get to cutting those away, and we're going to get it out of the smaller pot. We're going to come back, mixing up my words. We're going to come back and take a look at it. Okay, so I got it out of the pot and there was a price to be paid because The roots grew vigorously through the drainage screens of the smaller pot and the drainage screen of the bigger pot, and this is what I am left with. There is some severe scarring because of how it grew through the smaller pot, but I'm going to work with this and see what can be done, removing what roots don't make sense in favor of what makes sense for the project, and let's see what we could do. So these roots, I already seen one that I want to remove, which is this one here, as it comes out and goes across. And there is this smaller one here that has a little bit more of a radial direction. There is also this one here that just goes straight down, and I think bending it would not work out. So I have my bucket of water here. Always remember, keep your bucket of water, and I am going to remove these. Now there are a couple of roots obviously that would have been damaged, like these two little ones, so I'm going to remove these, and then I am going to take this away. So a big cut, and then I'm going to go in and try to neaten up this cut without damaging the root that is underneath it. Right? So this is here, and I want to remove this fellow. So I have these guys, and the hope is, my friends, is that these would be enough to keep this tree going. As I said, it started with not the best of with not the brightest future, but let's see if we could change that and create a better future for it. So I'm taking away this root because it got damaged, although it has a lot of nice feeder roots on it. And with what I have here, let me see what could be done. So without skipping too far ahead and acknowledging what I probably should have done first, which was defoliated and pruned back the tree. Unfortunately, in my haste, I did not, but I'll do it after. I'm looking at how it sits on this specimen rock here. Now, this big root sits nicely. This other root, this other big root, needs a little bit of work. Right? Now, most of the roots are on this side. On this side, we will have to adjust and do some placement to these other roots to find nice grooves for them and place them. But this rock works with what root system it has right now. Let me see if something else would work. So that's one. I have this, but this is a bit flat, and it would require a lot of bending and forcing of the roots to sit. I have this, and I have to find, this is how it sits. I can place this like this, putting this here. It sits in this groove and it leans, and I can place putting those roots there, put this root here, and placing this next root probably there, I think. But there's a root at the back that doesn't necessarily have a placement. So this is also a choice. Then I have this choice, which is yet another flat-ish kind of a root. However, spreading it out, looking for space. It sits. I just think it sits. It is sitting in this groove here, and what we could do now, what I'm going to do, rather than using wire, my friends, to hold down the roots, I'm going to use clay. Right now, let me turn this. This root sits a little bit high, but I don't want to remove anything more, to be honest. There's a little fear factor here that if I remove anything more, I already have a meager system. If I remove anything more, I could potentially end up in some problems, and the problem being the loss of this tree. So it sits, giving a purpose to this crazy bend that I would have made here. And what would have to happen is that this side would have to come back down, and this side could always adjust accordingly. Let me see. Yeah, man, or it could stay just like that. I think this is it. So I'm going to put this back in the water, and I'm going to look for a pot. Now, let me know in the comments what you all think about the choices. And yeah, but I think this is the best choice right now. Look at how this sits. Unfortunately, this is very high. This is quite high. I'm losing roots by the second way. Hey, I can keep this for now in the hopes that some things or some other roots develop over time. Yeah, so let me go and find a pot for this, and let's get to this quickly. So I've looked around for pots, and this is the pot of choice. This nice tile pot seems to be a good candidate. It might be a bit oversized, but it gives it enough room to spread. Right? What I did, I placed another rock under this one. I just placed it. I didn't do any permanent kind of work. And I'm looking at the angle for the rock, and I have it facing me just a tad. Right? What I'm going to do now is just offer it up to see, hoping I remember the positioning that I agreed upon. And if this is it here, I will have to turn it so that it could, because what you have happening here, you have a cascading bit which I will have to place outward, and you have this upward apex and this side which I will have to bring down, leaving this up, this cascading. It working out, you know. At least in my mind it works out. Right? From based on what I'm seeing here, it is working out well. So with that and the rough placement of the roots, I think this works out kind of good. I will have to look at a better front. I think it will have to, yeah, the point of the rock will have to face the audience, giving way for the audience to see the full movement of the tree. So that said, let me get the rock into place. Let me get some clay and let's start to put this tree back into some soil, and then we're going to see about the foliage. So I'm putting down a base layer of soil, and in this soil there is compost with some slow release fertilizer and some eggshells for a bit of calcium. There are one or two bigger pieces of stone in this soil mix. I want to say bigger pieces, one or two bigger pieces like this. And apart from the normal sharp sand, there is also some 1/8 gravel stone. Right, so I've put down a base layer of soil. Now, you might ask about these very, very, very long roots. I will cut as they are overly long. Anything that is still facing in an awkward direction will be removed. I'm going to place this in the desired position. Right? Now, there are some things that are sticking up, but I don't want to remove everything. Rome was not built in a day. So, I'm going to exercise some caution and do some placement. And as I said, I'm not going to use wire to tie the tree down. I'm going to use clay to help hold it down. Right, and let's see how well the clay works, holding these roots into place. So I'm making sure and giving the roots some kind of radial direction as best as I possibly can, getting them nice and tucked away in the soil. Get this out. I think I'm going to cut this back. Right, opting for this. And let me get some more soil in here, and then let's get to doing some clay work. I'm finished potting it up. What I'm going to do now is to make some adjustments, or at least prune back some of this growth to reduce the strain on these roots, because the root system is meager. So let's see. I have something growing from the inside here. I'm going to go around, removing items that are growing in poor directions. And as I said, I take ownership of it because this should have been done before the repotting was completed. As you can see, I did some extensive bending, you know. But say what, this apex is a bit straight. This should ideally come back this way. And this shouldn't interfere with this. This should come down. So this should occupy this space and this should come down here. So without trying to undo what I just did. Right, gonna do that. Remove this guy here. Remove this eye poker here. And reduce this apex. Right, what I want to do now is to bring this gentleman down this way, giving some movement. And then what I also want to do is to bring this gentleman out this way. See him? So this has to come down, making that triangular shape. This has to go out. Okay, so I've reduced quite a bit of the foliage, and this is where I'm going to stop. This is the end product. Let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, basically, let me know what you think in the comments. As I said before, just a recap, this wasn't a deliberate thing. This was an experiment with material that I probably would have discarded. However, in a surprising turn of events, it turned out to be a pretty good piece of material. What I will do, however, is maintain the curvature and the bends and the craziness that is happening. Still opting for the atypical triangular shape. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if my choices to this point were good, and let's hope that with the amount of roots that I had to remove, that this survives. Yeah. While I'm talking to you, I'm looking at stuff that I could potentially take away. I think I took away enough for now. So let me give you something of a 360 view of it. This ain't such a bad front, you know, friends. This isn't such a bad front at all. At all, at all, at all. As a matter of fact, this has a lot more happening than what I deem to be the front. But we will see how it goes. As time passes, we shall see how this tree progresses into the future. So that's it for today, my friends. Like, subscribe, share, and always remember, be good to yourself, be good to others, treat people how you want to be treated, and remember that our climate is our responsibility. We have an opportunity to change it for the better. If not for ourselves, we do it for the future generations to come. Yeah. On that note, I will see you all soon. Take care, my friends. Bye.